Of the entire video series, this may be our most important video. In it, we bring together concepts from prospecting and the feasibility study and use that information to set the right goal for your circumstances. And what is the right goal? It's one that maximizes giving. It's a goal that challenges your constituents to stretch without unnecessarily putting your campaign at risk of failure. In this particular video, I show you the steps we go through to set a campaign goal. In the example we will use, we investigate the likelihood of a successful $3 million campaign. We begin with a standard $3 million gift table, which serves as a starting template. This table represents the number of gifts typically needed at various giving levels in order to reach a $3 million goal. As we prospect for major gift donors, which typically takes 2 or 3 months, we analyze the results of our efforts along the way. Are there enough prospects at each giving level in order to reasonably expect a successful $3 million campaign? For example, we know from experience that if you need one gift of $500,000, you really should have at least 4 qualified prospects. Now, we don't yet know which of the 4 will ultimately be the one to make a gift, but we need to have more than one $500,000 prospect to reasonably expect at least one $500,000 gift. Of course, if you had 4 $500,000 prospects, one might give you $500,000 and the others nothing. Or 2 might give you $250,000 and the other 2 give nothing. However it plays out, the idea is that if you have 4 qualified $500,000 prospects, the odds of securing total revenue of $500,000 from among these 4 people are fairly good. Let's continue the example. Let's say you are 30 days into the effort to identify and assign target codes to major gift prospects. It's late January, and here are the number of major gift prospects identified so far. If you compare the number of prospects needed to the number of prospects actually identified so far, you can see that we fall short, but we've got more prospecting to do. So let's say you prospect for another 30 days and the number of major gift prospects grows quite dramatically. As you can see from the table, we've happily uncovered 3 more prospects at the $250,000 level. We now have 8 prospects at that level, the number that we anticipate we will need for a successful $3 million campaign. Unfortunately, we weren't able to find the 10 prospects needed at the $100,000 level. We only increased our prospect count from 4 to 6. However, we did find a relatively large number of $50,000 prospects. So we recalculate the table to include less $100,000 gifts and more $50,000 gifts. Why? Because that's what the data supports. You can now see how the process unfolds. We begin with a standard gift table, a general template, then adjust it based upon our own unique prospecting data. Now, so far in this example, the data looks pretty good, with one exception. Though we have filled out the prospect list at the middle and lower ranges, we unfortunately have not found a single $500,000 prospect, a prospect at the very top of the giving pyramid. Therefore, the data really supports only a $2.5 million campaign. Without that lead gift at the top, reaching $3 million would be very difficult. For example, you may be forced to rely on 500 gifts of $1,000. That would be tremendously difficult for many Catholic organizations. So in this circumstance, we would have a couple of options to set a realistic goal prior to launching the campaign. Can the cost of the project be brought down closer to $2.5 million? If that's not an option, is there enough revenue from the annual fund such that $100,000 a year for 5 years could be redirected from operations to capital expenditures? Finally, here's another option. Could the organization finance $500,000 with a long-term mortgage? With a $500,000 loan at 5% interest over 20 years, the monthly mortgage payment would be approximately $3,300 a month. Could your operating budget handle that payment? I know most Catholic organizations are very wary about going into debt. I respect that. But if your budget would support a mortgage payment of $3,300 a month, I think it's safer to plan on a $2.5 million campaign and celebrate success, albeit with some long-term debt, than risk launching a $3 million campaign and coming up $500,000 short. Now, in other videos, I went into pretty great detail to describe the negative impact of a campaign that doesn't hit goal. It's not a pleasant sight. If your budget confidently allows for a $3,300 monthly mortgage payment, I would see the loan as less risky than setting a goal that, frankly, the numbers just don't support. So here's my advice. When it comes to capital campaigns, you can always declare victory and advance. If you hit $2.5 million and still have a sufficient number of major gift prospects to raise another $500,000, declare victory at $2.5 million and raise the goal to $3 million. Be honest with the remaining major gift prospects. Tell them that the success of the campaign exceeded your expectations. Tell them that with their help, you now believe that you can complete the entire project without long-term debt, without the 20-year note that we thought we were going to need. Explain that completing the project without long-term debt will leave the organization and its ministry in a much stronger position to serve people. This approach makes the most sense to me. We want to challenge constituents to make their best gift. At the same time, we don't want prospective donors to withhold making a commitment for fear that the goal is so far beyond reach that the project will never materialize. You know, when it comes to major gift fundraising, I use a metaphor. Everybody wants to dance, but nobody wants to be the first one on the dance floor. In other words, even if prospective donors think a project is necessary and worthwhile, they have to be convinced that you have the ability to make it happen. They want to feel confident that you have the number of donors capable of making the project a reality. Otherwise, they sit on the sidelines. They won't invest for fear that they will make their best gift and the money will sit in an account and the project will never be built. They don't come on the dance floor. And you know, that happens more than you can imagine. Major gift donors, once burnt, are twice shy. Now, they're always polite, and in the solicitation call, they may not tell you that your goal is unachievable or that they think your goal is unachievable. But somewhere in the back of their mind, they may be thinking it. So if we've done our homework, if we have identified and qualified the requisite number of prospects needed to reach a particular goal, speaking for myself, I know that I'm much more credible in those solicitation calls because I know that the project is very doable. A side note. In this example, I talked about the possibility of securing a long-term 20-year mortgage. Be aware that even without any long-term financing, most projects require some short-term bridge financing. Here's why. Assume you launch a campaign for $3 million and hit goal with $3 million in pledges. Further, let's assume that the pledge period is 5 years, which really has become pretty standard these days. You don't want to wait 5 years to collect all the pledges and then build your building, right? The price is likely to go up. Therefore, most organizations secure the pledges, then secure a short-term 5-year bridge loan, knowing that the pledges exist to repay the loan. In this way, construction can be done now without having to wait the full 5-year pledge period for all the pledges to be paid and collected. So after you've collected your pledges and the campaign is over, you would simply run a cash flow report to determine how much cash you might collect in each of the 5 years. Typically, you will find that you get much more cash the first year, perhaps as much as 40%. with the rest spread equally over the remaining 4 years of the pledge. Let's summarize. Setting a goal for your campaign is a process. We begin with a standard gift table which serves as a template. Next, as we prospect for major gift donors, we assign target codes and create reports to tell us how many prospects we currently have at each gift level. Now, sometimes you'll be short at one level, but have more than enough in another. In our example that we used in this video, we didn't have enough prospects at the $100,000 level, but were blessed with plenty at the $50,000 level. Therefore, we made adjustments to the standard gift table, customizing it to our particular circumstances. We customized it based upon the actual number of prospects identified at each level. Then, next, as your board and committees conduct the feasibility study, when they actually go out and visit with prospective donors prior to the campaign, they further refine the number of prospects at each gift level. That done, you will have a pretty good idea concerning a realistic goal. Why? Because it's based on actual data, and it's not a goal you simply pulled from the air.